Hartley? We are live, and this is going to be broadcast at 7. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ann O'Connor, your neighborhood reporter. And this is Jen Paluzzi, the editor of Neshoba Valley Voice. She will be keeping the proceedings in order tonight. And the first thing that we need to do is choose the order of speakers, so I'll let her draw them from the camera bag. First to last or last to first?
First to last.
First to last.
All right, the person who will be speaking first will be Steve Spofford.
What? Number one?
You're number one. I don't know. Second is Ed Howard. Oh, we did it actually in order that they're sitting. That's nice. And then we have Cindy King. So candidates will first have 3 minutes to give their opening statements. Then we will have questions from the audience. Since I don't know everybody and since I started my day teaching at Emmanuel College, we'll do this professor style. Everyone will politely raise their hands and I will choose people. And we have microphones. Okay. That's good. All right, so we have 3 minutes. I have a timer on my iPhone, so I'm not tweeting, I'm not playing with my phone, I'm just timing everybody. So, Mr. Spofford, would you start us off? Is it working?
Hello?
Your timer's off.
Okay, here we are, we're better. If I'm going to start, I'll just say I'm Steve Spofford. I'm running for the open position on Selectmen, which is 5 months till April. We have to run again. So you might see all three of us again in about 4 months. And I've lived here all my life, and 3 generations of my family have been here, and they all worked at Pheasant Mill, and I know the town quite well. And I decided that instead of being a Monday quarterback, I would say, if you're not up here, you're part of the problem, so I'm going to try to be part of the solution and offer my lifelong experience in town to the public. That's all I have to say.
All right. Want to go?
Hi, my name's Ed Howard, and I typically wouldn't read something like this, but I want to make sure I hit all the points, so I wrote a little something up. Townsend's a great town. It's got great people, and it's clearly a product of the community involvement, which you're all demonstrating by being here tonight. People in this town care about where they live, and since I've been here in town, I've gotten to meet many great people. And I've gotten to talk about what the main issues are to most of the people around this town. 3 of those issues which seem to continually be repeated are the public utility we currently have in town. The people in Townsend are currently subject to some of the highest utility rates in the state of Massachusetts. Now, in my opinion, people in this town work way too hard to have their living undermined by corporate utility which seeks to amass profit at the expense of the residents who are beholden to their monopoly. I've been very clear in stating that my major interest and motivating factor in running for selectman is to seek the establishment of a municipal utility in town. By establishing this utility, the townspeople would save money. Additionally, they would have a much more consistent and reliable service, which I think we all agree. Reliability historically has been a major problem. My second main reason for running is to protect the residents as well as their property from the proposed pipeline, which would run through the town. I've been outspoken as well as unapologetic in my opposition to the pipeline. Not only would it possibly have an environmental effect, it would also have a negative economic effect, as the property upon which the pipeline ran would have decreased property values, which would have a systemic effect on the other properties which touched those properties. Now, I grew up in Lunenburg, and I recently moved back to north central Mass into Townsend. Some might consider this a negative attribute. I, however, believe that for the purposes of serving on the Board of Selectmen, this is actually a positive. While getting up to speed with what was happening locally with regard to the Board of Selectmen, I watched many of the previous meetings, as well as meet the candidate nights such as the one you're at right now. In watching those prior meetings on YouTube, I noticed a disturbing trend. Many of the local constituents on multiple occasions had expressed concerns regarding conflict of interest, as well as the need for selectmen to recuse themselves from certain votes. And this is a problem which I feel I could solve immediately. If elected, currently I'm not serving on any boards within the town, nor do I work for the town, or have a spouse who works for the town or serves on any boards.
All right, Ed, you're at time.
And
Ed.
I just want to say, I'm not saying this to take away from what any of the other people who serve here do. They do a great service for this town, and what's often a thankless task. So I don't want that to be mistaken, but I think we have a need.
All right, Cindy?
Good evening. My name is Cindy King, and I also am running for the open seat on the Board of Selectmen. First, I want to say how impressed I am with the large crowd that we have here tonight. I think, and I've looked at those same videos, there hasn't always been this big of a crowd. And I also want to thank Ed and Steve for also running, that we don't always get 3 people. We have had more than one person running, but we don't always get some good competition. I want to ask the voters of Townsend to elect me to this open seat on the Board of Selectmen. I attest to you that I am the most qualified candidate before you and the best candidate to provide the leadership necessary to not only maintain the Townsend that we know and love, but to take Townsend into the future. I am currently the chair of the Finance Committee. Finance Committee experience is extremely important for members of the Board of Selectmen. Knowledge of the budgeting process is crucial, not only to manage the operating budget, but also for long-term planning. This is crucial experience for whomever fills this position. We are facing a time of unpredictable revenue, a number of debt exclusions, and a need for a comprehensive longer-term plans for sorely needed projects like the roads, which I don't think I have to remind you. The Board of Selectmen recently signed a Community Commonwealth Compact with the Governor's Office. We committed to utilize the best practices in the finance area as provided by the Department of Revenue. The town agreed to follow the best practices in its budget presentation, as well as to develop a long-term financial plan. The state commits to providing technical assistance, but we are expected to complete those tasks. I am the best candidate to make that a reality. I also have a strong professional background in conflict resolution. I see this as an important asset to bring to the Board of Selectmen. I routinely work with many people and organizations to find common ground and build consensus on many difficult issues. These skills will be especially important over the next year, as the Board will be negotiating with all of our unions as their contracts are up for renewal this year. There is also a new union trying to get started, and as you are probably aware, the Board is in the midst of hiring a new police chief. We need someone skilled in negotiation. Another big area of importance to me is communication between local government and the community. We have a great diversity of means by which our residents get information, if at all. There is not one way that all of our residents get news or information about town government. I pledge to work closely with the community to identify the best means to provide information, as well as to improve the manner by which the town communicates information to citizens. And with these pledges, I will continue to work on that whether I'm elected or not. But as Board of Selectmen, I think I'm the most qualified candidate.
All right, Cindy, we're at time. Thank you. All right, we're going to have questions. There's first to Ed, then to Cindy, then to Steve. Each candidate will answer all questions. Again, I don't know anyone by face, so you're going to have to raise your hand, and I will choose you, and I'll have no idea who you are. So I'm hoping that you are better at class participation than my class was at 8 a.m. So show of hands, who wants to ask the first question? Ooh.
Y'all going home early tonight?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. My question is, I'd like each of you to tell us what the 3 best things about Townsend are, and then what the 3 things in Townsend that need the most work are, and what you'll do about those 3 things that need work.
Well, I think first and foremost, the best thing about Townsend are the people who live here. I mentioned it in my opening, and I truly believe that. Since coming back, I've received, a very warm north-central Massachusetts welcome, and I'd expect nothing less, having grown up in Leominster till I was 7, and then Lunenburg until I went away to college. I think Townsend, I just think the town we live in, the rural town we live in, it's a beautiful town. I think that's a huge benefit to Townsend. And I think certainly the fact that while we are a rural town, we have, a good local economy with solid businesses, many of which have been here for many, many years, speaks highly of the town in terms of the people who run those businesses and care about the community. In terms of what I think the biggest issues facing Townsend are right now, I'd say I mentioned 2 of them in the opening. Obviously, the utility is a major problem, and it's not just a problem for Townsend, it's a problem for the surrounding areas. I think the reliability, we don't receive the premium which we pay for in terms of the lack of reliability that we receive from the utility service. Second, I think a big problem is the pipeline. Now, when I'm not working as an attorney, I moonlight as a realtor. I'm not going to sell that as a major part of my professional life, but I look at comps and I see the effects that easements such as a pipeline will have on real estate. This is a big issue. I don't think people necessarily know, beyond just the environmental issue, the economic impact of that pipeline around this town would be severe and it would be systemic. And then the last issue, which Cindy mentioned, is the roads.
Ed, sorry.
Okay, the 3 best things and the 3 things that need to be worked on? Okay, well, my flyer's out there, I don't know if you've seen it, but I've been in Townsend about 34 years, and since I've been here, which is a while, I've really learned a lot about the people in the town and the history of the Townsend, and those are the 2 big things that I think are wonderful about town, and that the town, whether we're newbies or old-timers, want to keep that history important. It's very important to just about everybody that I've met. But I think the history of Townsend and maintaining it while we move to the future, we're able to do future-like things and look to make future plans for the town, but still maintaining the history. It can be challenging, but we do work on that. And the people are wonderful. When I did move here, I moved here right after Timberley Park was built. And for those that were here before that, I understand that that was a pretty tough time because it was, I think the population of Townsend doubled during that period. So that was a time of quite a bit of change. And the town survived that. But it's left a mark, but you can see the history, and I think it's wonderful. And I think that maintaining the history of the people, and strong will. People of Townsend have such a strong will. When there's something that they want to fight for or fight against, Carolyn Sellers is an example for the pipeline. When we fight for the Unitil, fighting against Unitil, fighting against the pipeline, the strong will is very apparent. The things that I think we need to work on are communication. Like I said in my intro, we really need to work both within the government, outside the government, amongst ourselves, the communication. Volunteerism.
All right, we have time.
Sorry.
I'll finish what Cindy was just going to say. Volunteerism is the main thing driving the town of Townsend, and we'd like to see some more of it. And some new faces like Ed running for office is one that we need a little transfusion of new blood in town to keep us going. And the other thing I agree with both of my opponents here is that the people of Townsend are the best, you know. I love this town to death. And you can see it by, we're building a new school because everybody wants their kids to have a proper education. And town government like this doesn't exist in a lot of places. And out campaigning, I hated to find a person and have them say to me they're not registered to vote. That is the most inane statement I've ever heard in my life. You have to register to vote, take part in your town government. And I agree with Carolyn, because a few selectmen meetings ago she mentioned it. The pipeline, like it's going to go through a couple of people I know, right through their house. That ain't going to happen. Not while I stand around, I have to say. And it is, like Ed says, it's going to devalue the property all around it. And I don't see it at all. Unitil, in Lunenburg, they've already shut down the solar panels. You put them up in your roof and they'll give you back money and all that kind of stuff, but Unitil won't take any more from Lunenburg at all. So that's coming to a complete halt pretty soon. That's what I think of Unitil. They belong up in Maine where they started from. And I just love to be here. I love the people in Townsend, and I love to see the way they do things. And other than that, I know the infrastructure can stand on a lot of help, but Ed's not getting a lot of help in that. You need money to do that.
All right, we're at time. So Cindy gets the next question first. Who is going to ask it? Who has the next question? Madam with red hair.
You got to start over again.
Sorry. My name's Patty O'Driscoll. I live in Timberley Park. I've been a resident of Townsend for 17 years now. My biggest concern is Unitil. Okay, all I ever hear from the town government is, oh, we're going to, we know you're upset, we know you're upset, you know, we know. I'm getting a $300 bill. It's myself and my husband living in a normal size split level. Okay? $300 a month, that's ridiculous. Fortunate, my husband and I make very good money. We're in a very good position. We can pay our bills. However, what is this town doing about all the people here who cannot pay these bills? I have so many friends who cannot pay their electric gas bill. It's ridiculous. When I moved from Pepperell to Townsend, my bill didn't just double or triple, it quadrupled. Okay? It's ridiculous. And I want to know why. Why is this town paying so much money for electricity when our neighboring towns are not? Why is so many of our elderly and single people, even people who have children, why are they having to give up food and medicine, etc., in order to keep their lights on and heat in their house? What are you going to do about it? And I'm sick of hearing we're working on it, we're talking with them. I want a solid plan. What's going to happen? What are you going to do about Unitil? It has gotten beyond ridiculous in this town. Thank you.
All right, that question goes first to Cindy.
I've got a hot bill, too. But unfortunately, we are, us and a number of towns, I wish I could name all the towns that are in Unitil's district, but I can't. And unfortunately, we are stuck, but I'm not saying that there's nothing we can do or nothing that's going on. I know that we do have higher bills. Unitil's rates are higher than the other utilities throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The Department of Public Utilities determines what the rates are. Unitil can't just unilaterally decide that they're going to charge us the rates that we are charged. They apply to the Department of Public Utilities and ask whether or not they can raise rates, and whatever they want to set the rates to, they have to testify to the Department of Public Utilities, a state office, to get that done. This summer there were 2 public hearings, and they hold them regionally. They were held in Fitchburg. The last one, I think, was on September 24th. I did want to go to one of them, but because of work commitments, I was not able to go. But I do know that there were a couple of people, at least a couple of people in Townsend that went. One of them was John Barrett, our moderator, and he did testify on our behalf. regarding those rates. Unfortunately, I do not know if any, I would love to know the answer, but I don't know what happened after that hearing. I believe the rates that they were asking for are supposed to go up November 1st. I'm going to look into that, but unfortunately, I don't know what they determined after that hearing. But I do want to speak, to what some of the things that Ed brought up was taking over municipal plant or municipal light here in Townsend and get out of Unitil's reach. There has been, since the ice storm, 8 bills filed with our legislature in which our state rep and previous state reps, Sheila Harrington, Jennifer Flanagan.
All right, that's time.
Let me answer your question with this. There is something we can do, all right? And here's what we need to do. And I just want to let everybody know that in interest of full disclosure, my law firm that I work for actually initiated the lawsuit against Unitil following the ice storm. The reason why the rates are so high is because they can charge us that. They have a monopoly on us. We have no choice. We have to pay what they ask for. Now, I've spoken to State Rep Stephen D. Natale, who's really championed the Unitil bill, and I've said to him, what can we do? Townsend, Fitchburg, Ashby, Lunenburg. We need to do this together. The people need to come together as one voice across the towns. They need to express their outrage. They need to write their state representatives. They need to let people know. I lived in Stowe, which is under Hudson Light and Power, and on a bad month, I would receive a $65 bill for a place where the equivalent under Unitil would probably be over $200. So if Hudson Light and Power could be set up by those local towns, we can do it out here. We don't have to accept no. They have lobbyists. Okay, they're a corporation. Don't get it wrong. They have a CEO who makes hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars a year. They have lobbyists who are letting us think that the answer is no. But you know what? People have to get ticked off, and I'm going to watch my language because I get a little passionate about this. But people have to get mad around here. People have to make it known they're mad and that they're not going to put up with it anymore. And we can get rid of Unitil. We can set up a municipal light and power. We can get a more consistent service at a lower rate. Because I'll tell you what, for what we're paying right now, we should have, the lights should never ever go out. And if they do, they should provide us all with generators for what we're paying per month. This is ridiculous. And for people to say we can't, no, we can, but you know what, the community's got to come together. And to what Steve said about involvement, here's a great place to get that community involvement going. How about Unitil? How about writing your state
All right,
rep?
we have time.
Thank you.
I don't have to repeat what they're saying, but the woman right there was answering her question. She's outraged. And I'm going to speak from a user's point of view. I see Unitil as a company that'll say, I want a 50-cent raise, and what they really want to get is 20-cent raise. So the state says, well, can you come it down a little bit? And then they get their raise what they wanted to when they started. And I'd like to see us form utilities like Littleton has. And Littleton has all 3 utilities, and they're doing a great job down there. Of course, they don't have Unitil, which is probably a big help. And I have gas at my house. Everybody knows I work for Lord and Oil. But between the gas and the electric, my budget is like $400 a month, year-round. It's more than some people pay. Were paying for mortgages years ago. Now it's out of sight. And I hate him as much as Ed does, but that's saying it most likely it won't happen. But if we stick together and perform with one voice, we can do wonders. And that's what we're all up here trying to get the town to do, is speak as one voice and be heard. Thank you.
All right, who's next with a question? Man in the back with a hard hat.
I came prepared tonight in case the roof came in. Anyhow, my question is to the candidates. This has been one of my prime questions at every candidate's night. We have a town administrator. If you're elected to the position of select person, who is the boss? The selectman, for the town administrator.
The selectmen are the boss. The selectmen make the decisions. The selectmen are the ones who are in charge of making decisions for the town, passing laws for the town, and making sure the town's run in accordance with what the selectmen want to see happen. The selectmen are the elected officials representing the voice of the people, all of you, and that's why I'm saying absolutely and unequivocally, per the charter, the selectmen are the boss.
Okay, the selectmen, of course, are the elected officials for the town. They manage everything, pretty much. And they are the direct supervisors of the town administrator. The town administrator is a full-time job, and whoever's in that position, he or she is responsible for the day-to-day operation of the town hall and the town departments that report to the Board of Selectmen. The person in that position holds a lot of responsibility. They also, not only do they manage the day-to-day operation of the town departments, but that person is also a key advisor, and they are the communicator with state offices and do a lot of research and are responsible for getting the right answer to the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen are responsible for communicating effectively with that person in order to make sure that the day-to-day operation and the government, our local government, runs smoothly, and that we can have the good communication with the townspeople as well as other departments throughout the state in an ever-changing state environment, revenue environment, and more complicated laws, and talking to our legislature. The selectmen do a lot. They're very busy, but the town administrator is, we pay them well, and they're educated, they're professional, and we need them in that position in order to do the work that we need them to do.
Well, I think the selectmen are in charge, and that is where the buck stops with the selectmen. The town administrator works under the selectmen and shouldn't give them any grief, but there's a lot of grief going on at the top now, and personally I don't like it. But I'm not privy to all that information, as some people might think I am. But I can't say it with a straight face. But if you watch the selectmen meetings, it's kind of obvious that we're having a little infighting, and I'd like to see that end myself. I don't know if that's the other two selectmen's fault or the town administrator's fault. But and I haven't worked with the town administrator, so I can't comment on his qualifications or anything like that. So, but the selectmen are the top dog in town, and that's the way it should be, because they're all, don't usually have to be, a resident of the town and a registered voter to boot. And they're the ones that ultimately answer questions. And well, anyway, if I go, I'll keep going on. If I don't want to, I'll stop.
All right, lady in the vest.
My name is Laura Schifrin. I live at 28 Barker Hill Road, and I've been here for 39 years. And talk about rising costs. The taxes on my house were $700 when I moved in. They're close to $6,000 a year now. I pay taxes on 6 properties, a truck, a car, and personal business property. I'm not happy with what's being done with my tax dollars, and I'm not happy with how our staff are being treated. Our town administrator is a professional, and it is an embarrassment how our selectmen meetings are run. And if they're top dog, we should be really upset in Townsend. Why should our staff be afraid of their jobs? They're hired because they're professionals, not the selectmen. Not I'm learning on the job and I'm a team builder. There hasn't been any team building in the last 6 months. I've worked in this town hall as a volunteer for 35 years. I serve on 4 boards right now. I chair 2 of them. I do not have a key to this building. I do not have a key to any of the offices. I don't deserve one. Why should anybody else? We have a town administrator who's done a great job. Because we have selectmen who have personal vendettas, we, the taxpayers, are paying. And I'm fed up. You want to hear passion in how I really feel? I respect our staff. I respect what they do. I don't want my tax dollars going for these staff people to defend themselves. Why? Because somebody doesn't like something? I pay taxes for 39 years. No selectman has come up to me and said, "Oh, how can I help you?" I pay more taxes than you guys do.
Ma'am, I'm admiring your passion. I'd love it in a letter to the editor, but can you get to a question?
Oh, my question is, as selectmen, how are you going to treat our staff? And how are you going to treat our paid professionals? Will you be professional to them? Because that's not been going on.
All right. I believe Steve gets to tackle that one first. I believe you get to tackle that one first.
I lost track.
Laurie ran for selectman last year, by the way. Well, I'm not saying anything against that, but if you were half as passionate, you'd be a selectman by now. Question is what? I just answered my question. I said I don't have anything against the town administrator because I don't know him that well. I have nothing to do with him yet. Cindy King has things to do with him, so she can tell you one way or the other. Huh? Well, how about, I'll just shake the bag a little bit. How come on a limited number of people got a raise last year and not the rest of them? Want to try that one out, Laurie? Limited number of people in the town hall got a raise last year that nobody knows about, except for them. And when I wrinkled their feathers a little bit, I want to see equity in everything, and I'm not seeing it. When I get to a town meeting years ago, the town finance committee you would die to hear what their recommendation was. You don't get it anymore. I don't know why that's happening, but they should be relied on heavily. They work hard to give you a reason why not to vote for an article at town meeting, and you should be listening to them. But I don't really know why you're so mad. No, I don't. You think the 2 selectmen we have now are pieces of garbage, is what I got out of that statement. Yeah, but you said that and you just beat it around the bush. That's what you were saying, especially since you said the last 6 months, because that puts Gordon right in the middle of it. And
all right, we have time.
Lori, first and foremost, thanks for serving on the boards you do and for your volunteer work, okay? That's what this town needs more of, and I think we should all acknowledge the work that volunteers around this town do, okay? Now, one of the things I said earlier is I hear what you're saying, and I see obviously there's anger, there's passion. I think this is reflective of this town having a small pool of people who serve in multiple capacities around the town. Once again, I'm going to reiterate, I'm completely appreciative of those people who serve in this town. However, I think it's also an indication that we have to have some new people serving this town. I think there's a lot of conflict. I think there's a lot of issues. And I think, as the old saying goes, familiarity breeds contempt. And I think your impassioned statements are indicative of that. Now, I come in here with no vendetta, with no special interest, and with no judgment of you or any other paid town employees. I've worked in a professional setting ever since I graduated college. I like to think I conduct myself as a professional, and I'm going to continue to do so as far as Townsend is concerned. I think everybody in their job deserves respect and dignity, and I think when people work hard, they should be acknowledged, and they should be congratulated for what they do. Now, I've only recently met the other selectmen, and just like I'm appreciative of the work you do around here, I am appreciative of the work they do, okay? They don't get paid for this. They take time out of their day, and, you know, for me, I'm doing this because it's something I want to do. This isn't because I'm power crazy.
All right, we have time.
But, you know, just treat each other with dignity. That's what we have to do.
I do have a special interest, and that is to do everything I possibly can to help the town run as smoothly as humanly possible. That cannot be done without the full cooperation of managers, supervisors, rank and file, union, non-union, every employee in this town. As I look around, I recognize most people that are here, at least somewhat, and there's a lot of employees and former employees and probably some future employees and volunteers out there in the audience. So you know that this whole conversation is about all of you and all of us. And I also want to reiterate that I'm running for an open seat. I am not running against the current Board of Selectmen. But what I've said in my intro and continue to say, my professional work, I work with people, and I've always, when I've been in charge, when I've been a manager, when I was a sergeant in the Army, it was not just to give orders, but to give the tools the employees at all levels need to do their job the best way that they can. I truly believe that every single employee, appointee, elected, whatever, wants to do a good job for this town. And I want to make sure that they have everything at their fingertips so that they can do it for all of us, and all of us taxpayers, non-taxpayers, and the people that live here. We love this town, everyone, and I fully respect that, and I want to help in any way I can to provide those and to reduce and help with any conflict that comes up. Conflict's going to come up. It just is. But I have the skills, the experience, and I want to apply it in every way I can to help resolve conflict rather than create more. Last night at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, which was not televised,
All right, we have time.
we almost
Sorry.
lost another one.
All right, someone who hasn't gone yet. Are you going to incite to riot, or am I going to have to come down there? Come on up.
I think I have a question that is going to be an easy answer, but in full disclosure, there's going to be a follow-up question. The easy question is, there is one petition tonight in the hall, and I believe another one is completed, and that is to amend the budgets of the senior center and the library. And I'm wondering if we can count on your support for that, in fairness to all town employees, that they're being paid for what they're doing, is part of it. And so the easy answer is going to be yes. I doubt that any of you are going to say no. The question is, how might you support that, and what would you do to see that it happens? Thanks.
All right, who went first last time? You went first last time, so I get it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. It's amend the... Oh, the budgets. I thought you said bylaws. I apologize. Needless to say, I went very far educationally. I went through law school, got my Juris Doctorate after attending Bentley and getting a BS in business management. growing up in Lunenburg, the Lunenburg Public Library was obviously a place where I did the summer reading program, got a great start. I understand the importance. I have a hard time, and I feel like it would be hypocritical of me, having been able to get so much from such a great facility such as the Lunenburg Public Library, to not be in support of amending the budget of a library to give them the resources that they need. With regard to the senior center, same thing. I mean, I think in any community, senior citizens too often are forgotten. They don't receive what they deserve in terms of recognition for what they may have done over the years. And I think that would fall under the same category where if there is a need there, it should be filled. And that's how I feel. And I was under the time.
You were under the time.
Hi. Well, being on the Finance Committee, I unfortunately know the financial situation. And my fingers are absolutely crossed that we're going to be able to recommend fully to support the warrant articles that are under petition and to increase the money, hours for the staff of both the senior center and the library. I know that they've been trying to get that through for a couple of years. Last town meeting, we were unable to do so and put it off to the fall. Right now, a problem we have for me to say, I can't say that, oh yeah, it's good, don't worry about it, we're going to give you the money. We haven't got the free cash settled out yet, so we don't know what we're going to get back from the state for even the upcoming town meeting. Everything that's going to be on that warrant we're sitting here waiting to see what that number is going to be. We'll be reviewing warrants, but we can't make those great recommendations. But that building, the library and senior center, is gorgeous, and if you haven't been over there, you need to get over there. That building with the two major supporting departments in our town, that has become a bigger community center than I think it was even ever intentioned when it was built. It's become, the kids flock there when they get out of school. It's become a haven for our senior citizens that are utilizing that senior center more and more. And we have a growing elder population in this town. And we have a new director over there, and she's been putting in, I understand, a lot of volunteer hours over and above her paid. And the services are absolutely necessary. I can't imagine if they had to cut or not provide more services than they are. And even using that meeting hall that is used by a lot of...
All right, we're at time.
This is where I agree with Laurie. Where's our tax money going? I signed that petition, by the way. That library should be open more, it should be staffed better, and they should be paid according to the hours they're working. Cindy kind of said it to Karen Canfield, who's in charge of the senior center. The people love her because she's doing a very good job. And I just want to reiterate that I think that library, not because my daughter's a librarian, by the way, they deserve to be paid for the... Stacy puts in more hours than you can think about in that place, and they should be paid accordingly.
That was the shortest yet. All right, we have time for one last question. Lady in red in the back.
Town boards, such as conservation, ZBA, planning, make decisions based on the bylaws and regulations of the town of Townsend. My question is, if you are elected, will you support the decisions of the town boards and uphold these decisions even if they are appealed to the courts by a disgruntled applicant?
All right, who goes first? You're first this time around?
I think so. I
Yeah, I think
haven't
so.
gone for a while, so I think it's me. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't. The planning board, zoning board, and conservation boards deal daily with laws that I haven't got a clue about. I know that they're very important, and when I say I don't have a clue about it, I mean I have a clue, but I'm not knowledgeable enough about the details of those laws to decipher whether or not they're valid. That's why we have those boards and the experts on those boards to make those decisions, utilizing a whole bunch of laws and our zoning bylaws, if you've ever read them. You got to be on those boards to understand fully what's going on, and I can't imagine that I wouldn't support. If we're going to go to court, it's the legal. Well, our legal budget is a whole other conversation, but I can't see any reason why we wouldn't support, or I wouldn't support the decisions of our boards to move forward on decisions that have been made. I'm sorry if that. I don't think I will.
You did fine. Planning boards and other boards are manned by people that are volunteering, and you have to have qualified people on those boards or you get nothing done. So when they come out with a recommendation, you better believe that it's been researched until death. And don't fight it, go with it, and try to do what they're suggesting. And then the town meeting, when they read those things, you'll know why they're 3 pages long. It's very intricate work they're doing, and they're doing it for the benefit of the town. Thank you.
You know, I think this is somewhere where, obviously, coming from a legal background, I may be able to assist or understand some of these various CMRs and what decisions the boards make. I would absolutely support a board's decision, assuming those decisions and those suggestions that they come out with are within the confines of state law. Obviously, if a board makes a decision that opposes state law and someone decides to challenge said decision, then that's wholly within their right. So I can't give a sweeping answer, even though it's probably not the most politically sound answer, that yes, I'm going to support every decision every board comes out with. You got to make sure, and you know, assuming they are as researched as Mr. Spofford represents, then most likely they will be within the confines of state law, and they will not violate any state CMRs or anything like that. So far as they're within the bounds of state law, then I would support them. I see no other reason not to. And that's the best and most honest answer I can give.
All right, we have about 10 minutes left, so each candidate gets 3 minutes to summarize and tell these good people why they should vote for you. And I believe Ed goes first this round.
I think, once again, like I said, a lot of what we have here is we have some issues that seem to be coming up for no other reason than there may be conflicts, relationships which have gone stale over the years. I think what this local town government needs is it needs an infusion of a new opinion. It needs a new voice, someone who doesn't have any interest, and I say interest, is not an interested party. I'm interested in what's going on. But we need a new voice here. We need, and you know what? I'm hoping that if I can get elected, maybe I can bring new people in. Maybe we can get kind of a youth movement within local politics. Maybe we can expand the pool of local politics. And I think that would be very beneficial to this town. I think that's something this town could use. Additionally, like I said, I'd work very hard to get us onto a regional utility. That would be one of my major goals. I wouldn't take no for an answer. I wouldn't accept the numbers that were given. A lot of those numbers you see published with regard to Unitil cost rates versus expenses, those are being put out there by lobbyists. And once again, don't get it wrong. They have lobbyists and they have money, and they put money into maintaining a monopoly, and why wouldn't you? Who's going to fault someone who's got an automatic business structure? So that would be very important to me. The roads I didn't get to touch on much. I'm living down on Gilchrist. I don't know, Gilchrist. I don't know if anybody's ever been down there, but those roads certainly need some work. I think the roads all around town need some work. Nobody's fault, by the way. We had a horrible winter. Roads across the state are like this. But we've got to find areas in the budget. And in terms of what you brought up about how the taxes have gone up, certainly if you started getting half the utility bill every month, that might be a nice little start to offsetting increased taxes. So we've got to figure out where we can reclaim some of this money, and I think the utility would be a good start. And like I said, with regard to the pipeline, it's no good for anyone. It's not going to serve a positive to anyone. And, you know, at the end of the day, we don't want that running through our town, and it poses a definite risk. But anyways, thank you everyone for coming out, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else up here does too.
I thought it was Steve. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm being referred to as the Antichrist now, by the way. My taxes, like Laurie's, when I bought my house I live in now, were like $880, and now they were up around $5,000. And I'd love to know where all that money's going. And my main concern, and I'm just going to say it outright, is I think something smells in the town government, and I want to be there to cure it or fix it or try to fix it. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, I've been here about 34 years, and I've been involved in the town in different corners of it since I set foot in the door. But within 6 months after coming here, I got hired as a dispatcher in the communications center and then spent 20 years on the ambulance. I've briefly on the last charter committee or charter review committee. I did that. I've been on the FinCom for a few years. I've been active participant, a life member and past commander of the VFW here in Townsend, which I joined as soon as I got home before I even took my uniform off. And I get it. I know the people of this town. I know what people do, and I know how we live. I know the problems. I've watched them for all the 34 years that I've lived here, and I've been a part of this community. And I want to continue to do that by being the newest member of the Board of Selectmen. I want to join that board and continue to provide leadership in any way that I can and provide the services that I've offered. I want to be able to help the town employees do the best jobs that they can and coordinate with all the departments and whatever we need to do. And I know that I probably still have tons to learn, but I want to get up there and do that, and I want to be able to listen to everyone and do what I can for all of you and get the communication better. Deal with the municipal issue, which I just want to add, I didn't get to finish that question, so I'm going to sneak it in now, that there hasn't been a community in Massachusetts that's been able to build their own municipal light company since 1926. It's been legally blocked by the utility companies. And that's where I was going with the bills that have been filed 8 different times. And there's one now that is still active, but it's, of course, sitting in committee. It's still alive, but it is sitting in one of the committees that handles that. So, yes, I do agree that it's time to contact individually, not just the town doing it, but all of you write letters to our representatives and say, hey, what's up with this bill? And get more action on it if that's what we want to do. That is something that we can do, is to do that. But unfortunately, it's not just a matter of the town isn't doing anything. This has been going on since the ice storm. Bills have been repeatedly filed and either been voted down in the legislature for some legal issue within the bill, or they've died in committee. But that has been an active program since the ice storm, when it became woefully important to all of us. Thank you.
All right, this concludes tonight's debate. I want to thank all 3 candidates for coming out. Yes? Yes, ma'am. Well, that I know. My question is for the man with the camera. When do you go out? Okay. If we have time on his end, then let's take 2 more questions. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, why don't we have 3 more questions? Three more questions if the 3 candidates are agreeable. Okay. People who haven't spoken already. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Carolyn Smart. I'm currently on the Board of Selectmen, and I'd like to thank all 3 of you. I know it's not hard. It's not easy to be up there. I've been up there. Sometimes selectmen have to make difficult decisions, and as you can see, it causes passion within people, especially when they don't know the entire situation. So you always need to be respectful of that and not absorb it personally and continue to strive to do your best. Speaking of difficult decisions, all 3 of you, and myself included, signed a petition, I think all 3 of you did, to add a warrant article onto town meeting to add additional funds to the library and to the senior center. I'm not sure if Ed and Steve are aware, but at the last town meeting, we couldn't close the gap in our budget. We actually had to borrow $80,000 from our stabilization fund in order to balance the budget. So, in essence, if we increase the 2 budgets that are being requested, we'd be doing so out of free cash, which is a one-time revenue. So as a selectman, how would you make that decision, and how would you be able to explain it without causing and embarking such passion in people?
I understand that the job involves a lot of hard decisions, and for as with any other political position, you're always going to make somebody happy, you're always going to make someone unhappy, okay? It's the selectmen's job, and the selectmen are voted in by the other residents, and it's a reflection of the residents' trust in the selectmen that when they do vote on something, they're going to do so because they think it's what's right for the town. I've stated a couple times that I don't necessarily have a horse in the race like some other people may. I'm going to do what I think is right. I'm going to do so openly. I'm going to listen to what people have to say on the issue. I'm going to look at both sides of the issue. And as a selectman, in doing my job, I'm going to have to make a judgment as to what's right for the town. There's no easy way about it. You're always going to make someone happy. You're always going to make someone unhappy. When I talked about the importance of a library, that was from personal experience growing up in Lunenburg, which of course they have a much nicer library now even than when I was a kid. But that was a big part of my childhood. I can understand the importance of a library. I can see where making some sacrifice somewhere else may be right in order to assure that the library staff can be open for reasonable hours and can receive just compensation for the work they do. So that's about it. There's really no right answer to that question. But anyways, thank you.
Perfect time.
Okay. Thank you for that question, Carolyn. I'm glad you asked it. We can continue to talk about it. Yes, it is not good practice to use free cash for one-time revenues. That is not recommended. That is not a best practice. And that's all we're doing this special town meeting. Almost every penny that we're going to be spending is going to come out of that. That's why we're waiting on that free cash number. It is going to be tight. We're going to, all of us, have a lot of hard decisions if we ever get to that special town meeting. Those are warrant articles. My fingers are crossed that there's a way that we can make everybody happy, that we can get all the needed town services funded and still leave an appropriate amount of free cash available to us. that we're not going to spend it all. We cannot get $500,000 in free cash and go spend it. That's not how it works. And this is an excellent reason why you want to have somebody on the Board of Selectmen who knows, who understands how the budgeting practices work and what free cash is and why you don't want to spend it, and how to determine whether things are good or not. These are going to be, the library and senior center are going to be warrant articles on the town meeting floor. Whether the FinCom or the Board of Selectmen make recommendations or not, it's going to be on the warrant, and it's going to be voted on by the townspeople. And we're going to not make the decision whether or not we're going to fund those things. The Board of Selectmen isn't going to make the decision, and the FinCom doesn't make the decision. It's you. If you come to town meeting, whoever goes to town meeting is going to be the final decision maker on if those things are going to be funded and how. So, and without knowing that free cash number, we can't say. And I'm being very honest. My fingers are crossed that we'll get a couple $1 million from the state.
We have time.
Or getting back in our free cash.
Very well stated. I'm one of the people that there's not just the selectmen. The people that are actually running the town are you people. But you people, I'm talking maybe 100 people that show up at town meetings. They're the ones that make the decisions on the articles like this. And the article that they're talking about is designed to force the town government into providing funds, not knowing where they're coming from. And that's the idea of the article. The people want to have a voice and get something done. But you can't do anything unless you show up at a town meeting to vote one way or the other. I don't care if you vote up or down, but just show up and be a part of the town. Thank you.
All right, we'll take 2 more questions. Who's next? Gentleman with the beard in the back.
I walked in when the gentleman in the center was talking about being a member of the town board and giving his introduction speech. How long have he been living in this town since he moved back, and why is it that he's taken to automatically jumping into the selectman's position without going to one of the multiple committees? I know every committee is short personnel compared to what they're supposed to have on them. Our committee has never been at full force since I've moved in here in '08. February of '08 was the official landing time. We can certainly use that kind of expertise that he has on the Finance Committee. I consider it one of the more important ones. I think Ms. King there will agree with me. But there are also many other important boards that could use volunteers.
Do you have a question for the other 2 candidates, since we have 3 of them
I would like to know what he's been doing in town and how long he's been here. See, I've been back. I understand the Lunenburg, Leominster stuff, but I don't understand anything about the Townsend portion and what he's been doing, since he's been back.
Absolutely. I've been here since I moved back to the area in March. The reason I'm doing this, and I have stated it a couple times, is because I think what this town needs, they need more people involved who have had less prior involvement. I think there's way too many conflicts going on, and in fact, and once again, I'd like to reiterate that I'm in no way taking shots at the people who volunteer their time to this town, and I'm very appreciative for what they give to the town. But when I went to the Board of Selectmen's meeting a couple weeks ago, the second item on the agenda, they had to abstain from taking a vote because of a potential conflict. Now, a board that can't vote is an ineffective board. I don't have those conflicts of interest, and I think that that would serve the board very well. So before I get too involved in other aspects of the town, I feel that I could serve the board very well as someone who does not have those inherent conflicts of interest which result from having a small pool of highly involved individuals. I do plan on serving in other capacities in this town, but right now I feel like, because of the fact that I stated, I could serve best as a selectman.
I think you next, or...
I was last.
I'll go.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I've been here 34 years, and I do hope that you do vote for me. But I want to thank Mr. Howard for stepping up and running for selectman. He hasn't been here that long. He's still from the neighborhood, so to speak. He does have a lot of skills that I would really like to see him. When I win, I would really like to see him. I would really like to recommend to him that there will be an opening on the Finance Committee. I know no one has yet to ask me if I was going to resign, and I am, only if I win. But there will be an opening on the FinCom, and we do, I believe, have a few openings on the Planning Board, and I think Mr. Howard's experience as an attorney would be greatly appreciated to apply for that board. It's up to them, and of course the powers that be to make the appointments. But I think he would be a great asset to the town when he does not get elected and you elect me.
Okay. I like Mr. Howard mainly because our town is getting a little stagnant. We need some new blood infused into our government, town government, and I appreciate his running. Being that new, like he said when he opened in his opening statement, it's either a good thing in some ways and a bad thing in others. But I personally think it's nothing but a good thing. He doesn't have a side to be on. The town is kind of divided, and in fact, I enjoyed sitting up here talking to him, I think. And yeah, what question would you like me to answer? How long have I been here? I've been here forever. I'm what you call a townie. I was born here. My parents were born here. My great-grandparents, the whole 9 yards. I personally, I'm just trying to help my town out. I've been sitting back watching for years, and I think I just want to offer myself up as an alternative to anything, and I will do what's best for the town. I was on a rec committee. I was a chairman for a few years, and I was on the master plan committee. Want something else? I coached every team in town. Oh, okay. All right. And if anybody wants to know my credentials, I was 15 years at Sears and Roebuck as a supervisor and manager in Westboro, and that was good. Then I left. Then I ran into Cindy, I think.
Aren't you on the trustee for the Soldiers?
I'm on the trustees for the Soldiers Memorials, yeah. Don't forget that. God. I might be on one of those signs pretty soon.
All right, we have time on that.
No, my time is up.
Your time is up. Well, I'm sorry? One more question. Who's going to go?
I have a question.
You have a question.
For a
and he has
change.
the microphone, so he's in control.
So Lori pays $6,000 some odd a year in property taxes. I pay over $10,000 a year in property taxes, and I only have 2 properties. Okay, well, it's a lot. So I'm 61 years old, and I would really like to retire in a few years, and I'd actually like to stay in Townsend, but paying my primary residence almost $9,000 a year in property taxes, which is just all the time. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay here, quite honestly. I mean, that's a lot of money. When you retire and you're paying $10,000, it'll probably be up to $12,000 on that one property when I retire. We're probably going to split and go to, like, North Carolina or something like that, where I pay $400 a year for the same house. So my question is, to the selectmen, how much do you pay individually in property taxes? I would really like to know that. And also, what do you think about how much percentage of somebody's income should they pay in property taxes? For instance, if you're retired and you're making $55,000 or $60,000 a year in retirement, you're paying $10,000 in property taxes. That's almost 1/4 of my income. So that's my question.
Whether or not you want to answer the question is up to you. You have 2 minutes to talk about what the whys and whys not.
Okay. I'm not going to exactly answer the total question, I don't think, but I can't remember exactly what I'm paying for property taxes. I know mine comes out of escrow, thankfully, so I don't have to look too hard at it. It goes up, it goes down, and I don't know. I don't know if I could, what I'd be living in, and if it was based on a percentage of my income. My car's out there. But I think that property tax questions are certainly out there valid, and we're all, when that envelope comes, we're always, uh-oh, what is it going to say? What's our tax rate going to be? What does it mean to me? And taxes are determined, I mean, year to year, you know, we get concerned about the things we vote for at town meeting, we get concerned about so many things, and then sometimes the taxes are going to go up, taxes are going to go up, and we get our tax bill and they went down. How did this happen? Well, the tax rate went up, but my property tax went down. How did that happen? And it's this a wide range. Hopefully I have, within my 2 minutes, I can spit it all out. But our valuations will change, which, based on how many homes we have and what new growth we have, our tax rate and the valuation of all of our properties will have a lot to do with our tax rate. It's tough to even plan with our budgeting how that goes. And we also have, when we're going to town meeting and we're voting on budgetary items, one of the things that kind of gives a little spike is debt exclusions. Right now on the FinCom, we're working on doing a little education piece so that when we do go to town meeting, people do understand what your vote, where your money's coming from. That sometimes there's a misunderstanding in what some of the terminology is, and so that you can understand tax rates from that respect, and we're trying a little education piece to inform everybody so you have a better understanding of how that is determined. And I'm sorry that for some people, we have homes that are valued higher and our taxes are pretty high, but hopefully.
Once again, I'm in the same boat. My taxes get escrowed into my mortgage. I couldn't tell you if you asked me. I understand, though, where you're coming from. Taxes, property taxes, which are based off an assessed value of your property, can be a huge burden to some people. In fact, other than my job, which was the main reason I moved out of here, part of the reason I moved out of here was because the unaffordability of where I was living before here, which was, I had a house out in Medford, okay? The year I left, the assessed property tax was $6,500 on a .17 acre lot, so it was literally a postage stamp. So I understand. That's a big burden for someone who doesn't even have a quarter acre to be paying those sort of taxes. Once again, like Cindy said, the taxes are determined based off assessed values. Property value goes up, the taxes go up. Property value comes down, the taxes will follow. If people are worried about the taxes, they could always support the pipeline, because I'll tell you what, that will bring the assessed values of properties way down very quick, which is one of the reasons why I would oppose the pipeline. So we don't want that. But my point is, you know, property taxes are a burden, and it's a burden a lot of people have. And it's a shame when people have lived in town for many, many years and can't afford to keep their own property because of the rise in taxes over the years. In terms of whether, I mean, it's hard to say as an individual that I am going to be able to affect change of all the property taxes across Townsend. I feel like if any of us said that, that would be a disingenuous statement. I certainly think people could propose initiatives to somehow create some sort of affordable housing for individuals who run into that issue as they get older, as they reach retirement age, can't afford their property anymore. Something to keep people in town.
All right, we're in time.
Shut up, will you? Okay. First off, my taxes are the same area as theirs. It's approaching $5,000. But Steve owes 13 acres or 100 acres or whatever you get out there. Yeah, it's only, okay. And Laurie's got a bunch of things, so hers is way high. But I'm going to tell you from my point of view, because I recently retired and got the shock of my life when I found out that I may not even be able to live in the town I love. And that's not good. And when the school hits the budget in 3 years, then you're going to see your taxes go up in a hurry. But on the other hand, we need that school to educate our kids. We exist for our children to better the world, and we can't go back on education or libraries, places that really need the money. And I hate to tell this to Cindy, but I hope he does a great job on the Board of Finance next year, too. But, thank you.
Thank you. All right, that was the last question of the night. The candidates may be sticking around, so definitely talk to them one-on-one. But thank you very much for coming out tonight. I just want to note that the week before the election will be the last week that political letters are accepted, so get them out as soon as you can. Thank you. Bye-bye.